What up? We here. Solo dolo live stream today. Gotta switch my background soon. I think it's time to put another jersey up there. Probably take down the O'Neal. It's been there for a minute. Welcome everyone to the 22nd episode of Some Casual Takes, a podcast hosted by me, Stephen Pepper, featuring other sports fans debating interesting topics with the most casual takes. This episode is brought to you by no one again. A solo pod today, so we're not featuring other sports fans debating interesting topics. Only I am here, not debating because there's no one here, so I'm talking my points. I want to try a solo pod today. Just to just test it out because I don't want to keep asking people to keep coming on my pod and doing me a favor. I want to try and find my voice by myself. And I think it'll be cool. If it doesn't work, then I'll just scrap it and never do it again, at least for a while. So I had class today. That's why I don't really like firing up at 5 because I feel like everyone's already talked about the news from the weekend. If you don't know my schedule already, I do a show on Monday and I do a show on Friday. The Monday show is like a weekend recap show where I talk about all of the topics that happened over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Friday show is anything I can talk about that happened in a few days leading up to Friday. I can look for the weekend. The Friday shows are the more fun because I feel like most sports happen on the weekend. So it's mainly just a heavy recap on Monday, and Fridays when it just gets more interesting and more topic debatey and heated as seen in previous shows. But today is just going to be like what just happened over the weekend. And a lot of news broke today and yesterday that we're going to get into. But before we get into some basketball and football, NBA, I mean, because we got some college basketball. And before in the class today, I was like, oh, snap, I haven't filled out my college basketball bracket yet. A lot of people have been asking me, yo, talk college basketball, talk college basketball, talk college basketball. I'm like, okay, I will. But there's a problem. I am a casual college basketball viewer until the tournament. I barely pay attention to college basketball at all. I'm not gonna blame college basketball as a product. I'm not gonna blame them. I think it's mostly me. I will say though, I used to watch a lot more regular season college basketball when they had bigger stars. Like I used to tune in more to Zion Williamson and all those people. But since there really isn't anybody, I think that's a problem in the NCAA that I should probably talk about later. Not today, but another day. Is how there's a lack of stars. Like a lot of the best players in the NBA draft are now in the G League or overseas and stuff like that. Or Team USA, guys coming out of high school cheating the system. But that's besides the point. So I'm a college basketball viewer into the tournament. So when it's time for a tournament, when it's time for the conference tournaments, like in between that gap between conference tournament and NCAA March Madness, there's like what a day or so window before the first four. Whatever. So that's when I do all my research. I cram in like what months of college basketball season into like one day and learn out who the best teams are. I have a feel of who the best teams are because I casually watch the regular season, but really break it down and analyze who's the best team, who has the best players, who won the conference tournaments, and decide to make my bracket because I want to win these buy-in bracket leagues. So I just made my bracket during class. I made it really quick. So my bracket is Bama and Texas. I know 1 versus 2 seed, whatever. I've heard some people get mad at me when I show my brackets for like NFL when I pick the high seeds. They say that's just easy way out. Well, I just think these are the best teams in college basketball. So if you hate me picking a 1 seed, just know that the last 5 years the 1 seed has won the championship. So when it comes to my criteria, I did this really quick. I'm probably going to analyze this more after the show. But my two main points when I pick, I don't like to overanalyze it. When I overanalyze it, start looking at all these stats and ratings and stuff like that, I tend to lose more games in my bracket. I noticed it throughout the years since I started doing brackets way back in like elementary school or in middle school. When I overanalyze brackets and dive so much into stats and analytics, I actually have my worst brackets that way. My best brackets are not when I casually pick, but when I just have more simple criteria. And it's actually crazy. So here's some of my best criteria to kind of give you guys some advice on. I mean, you don't have to follow my advice, but to give you some advice on what to pick for your college basketball. So again, I have Alabama, the 1 seed, on their side of the bracket, beating Texas in the national championship. So my two big criteria points, I like picking conference winners. I think conference winners are very important. So when we think about March Madness, right, it's a basketball tournament. What team would you rather pick to win a basketball tournament? A team that already won a basketball tournament, their conference tournament, a really hard playoff environment conference tournament that they already won. They already won that tournament. So I really like the conference champions because they've already been battle tested, gone through a tournament and some adversity and won games against some of the best teams in their conference. So I really like conference tournament. They're in a tournament setting. I like conference champions because they're already in a tournament setting. They've proven that they can win in a tournament setting and come out on top. And that's what March Madness is, a tournament setting. So I really like conference champions. Alabama won the SEC and Texas won the Big 12. Texas especially that I really like because they beat Kansas. Kansas is one of the best teams of basketball. They're the reigning national champions, and they smoked them in the Big 12 championship game. That's really important. That's really important for a casual viewer like me. Seeing a big win like that from Texas is very important. At least that's like a Final Four type team that can push because that's a huge win. Winning your conference over the defending national champion, huge win. So I put a lot of value to that. My second criteria is when I'm picking against teams that didn't win their conference, I try to see how far they win their conference championship. But let's say they don't go far in their conference championship. Let's say they lose like their first game or whatever. My second criteria is, well, is this just a good program? What's their culture? Is this a good program? So, like, let's say, okay, well, UNC's not in it, but let's say UNC wasn't in it and they were playing like Pepperdine. And let's say Pepperdine was a better team than UNC. I would take UNC was like had a better net rating and had a better regular season than UNC. I would take UNC over Pepperdine because I like UNC's program. I don't know. It's a lot of blind faith, but I like the teams that hangs up trophies, that has trophies in their locker room, that's won March Madness, has culture, has winning coaching staffs, who's been there, done that, historic programs that I know it's a lot of blind faith, but as a casual viewer, you're really banking in blind faith in March Madness. So I like to pick programs. I got Duke going far. I got Duke going far. I think I got Duke. Duke won the ACC tournament. That's huge for me. They're a 5 seed in the March Madness bracket. Winning the ACC tournament is huge. So you're seeing a trend here. Like I said, I really value conference tournament winners. Hopefully this doesn't backfire to me. I'm gonna do more research into it. So like I said, I'm not a huge college basketball fan, so I casually pick through. But I got Duke going really far. And what I've noticed over the years too, key point to look out before I move on. Key point to look out in your bracket. I think for the last, I don't know how many long years it's been, but 5 seed or worse has always made into the Final Four in these last couple of years. You think about Loyola Chicago, you think about UNC last year. Auburn that 1 year, a 5 seed has always made it in the last 5 years, 5 seed or less, 5 seed or worse, has always made it. At least one, and it's only one, but at least one has always made it to the Final Four. And Duke's a 5 seed. And as someone who likes conference winners, as someone who's like historically rich, dominant programs, and someone who knows a 5 seed or worse is going to make it in the Final Four, it's a recipe for Duke. It is a recipe for Duke. I got Duke going extremely far in the NCAA tournament. I don't know exactly where, but I got Duke going really far in the NCAA tournament. So I'm just going to repeat what I said before I move on. When I do my March Madness bracket, I have 3 huge criterias. When I picked, okay, not really 2. I have 2 criterias. My first criteria is, did you win your conference? I really love conference winners because what is March Madness? March Madness is a basketball tournament. What team would you want than a team that just won a basketball tournament the week prior? And that would be Duke. Duke just won the ACC tournament. That's huge. And second, I like teams that won their tournament because they're battle tested. They've shown to me that they can push through a tournament and win basketball games against some of the best teams in their conference that know how to game plan against them. They can go through adversity, and that's what March Madness is all about. They're battle tested already. I like that. My second criteria is historically rich programs. I like teams. Now, this is more for the casual viewer who isn't really into the college basketball analytics because I pay more attention to professional sports. But for the casual viewer who only really pays attention to college basketball until it's time for conference tournaments and March Madness, I like picking and putting blind faith into the historically rich programs over a smaller school because those historically rich programs have shown that they've been there, they've done that. And I've actually noticed in my brackets throughout the years that when I pick brackets based on programs rather than which team is actually better, I'll never get the champion right, but I get more wins in the picking the program bracket instead of the who's the better team. So like let's say if I know UNC is not in, but let's say if UNC played Pepperdine, I'm picking UNC because of the more historically rich program. I know, but trust me, it's worked in my brackets. And my third special bonus criteria is in the last like couple of years, a 5 seed or worse has always gotten to the Final Four. We think about the Loyola Chicago, Auburn, UNC last year. So combine all those three factors. What team has all those three factors? Won a conference tournament, historically rich program, 5 seed or worse. That's Duke Blue Devils. So I'm giving me Duke to go to the Final Four this year. And I'm about to get eat up by a bunch of college basketball nerds. But yeah, give me Duke to go to the Final Four. I didn't announce, I said earlier that I didn't know where Duke was going to go, but then I just rechecked my bracket and I got to move to the Final Four. So let me go Duke Final Four. And that's all college basketball you're going to get until the tournament starts heating up. You're welcome, everyone that asked me to do it. All right, so Knicks Lakers. Let's talk NBA. So my Lakers, we're going to capture, but by default, some LeBron fans. So I'm going to say my. If you notice, I've been saying like mine, we lots of the Lakers. LeBron fan has to root for his team. So I'm going to say Lakers. So the Lakers, they played at home against the Knicks yesterday. They lost 112 to 108. And they just lost. And it's not good. They're the 11th seed now. So they're the 9th seed. It's kind of like the Lakers season. One step forward, another step back. Lakers season, every time they get close to 500, they just take a step back. They tease the Lakers. They've done it multiple times this year. Hopefully, they don't go on a losing streak because every time they do get close to 500, they always go on like a losing streak. They're 2 games back. When they got really close, they're 1 game back for the loss. Now they're 11th seed. Fortunately for them, the seeds are really close. So the Lakers can get back to the 9th seed soon. But they lost, and I think the number one reason why they lost, probably the only reason why they lost, other than because they played relatively good defense, other than RJ Barrett and Julius Randle going off. There's a low scoring game for the most part, is Anthony Davis. The Lakers go as far as Anthony Davis goes. The Lakers playoff ticket can only be punched by Anthony Davis. The playoffs for the Lakers is in the hands of Anthony Davis. Their playoff ticket can only be turned in by 80. They didn't even need, I said before the game, like they need 30 and 15 from 80. They didn't even need 30 and 15 from 80. All they needed from Anthony Davis last night was against the Knicks was 25 points. Anthony Davis gives them 17 points on less than 50% shooting. That's not what they need. They do not need that Anthony Davis. This is the Anthony Davis that we've been worried about, right? Because the other day I made a video saying Anthony Davis is better than LeBron James. Anthony Davis is top 10 player in basketball. This is the Anthony Davis that we've been worried about is when he's healthy. Now, he has to be healthy, but when he is healthy, is he locked in? Is he feasted? Now, last game he only had 8 points, and we're like, whoa, hold on, 8 points? But we won because, like, the entire Lakers played good, and we played I would say we played an inferior opponent. Who did we play last game? I'm blanking. Oh, the Raptors. So we played an inferior opponent, but Anthony Davis had 8 points, and I was like, okay, Next game's fine because the previous 5 games, right, he was averaging 33 points a game. Now 8 points and 17 points a game follows. Now we're slipping. Like I said, the Lakers go as far as Anthony Davis goes. He didn't need 30 points. All he just needed was like 25. Heck, if he had He had 17, so they only lost by 4. If he had 5 more points, if he had 22 points, the Lakers would have won, or at least the game, or their chances of winning would have been a lot higher. D'Lo, and don't worry about the rest of the Lakers. D'Lo's been sensational since he's came back. D'Lo had 33 the other night. The rest of the team, they had 4 role players in double figures. The team's playing better defense. D'Lo's a great third option when LeBron comes back, a great second option. D'Lo's a great second option alongside Anthony Davis. The role players are firing on all cylinders. They're great. So it's all up to Anthony Davis. And if Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, because when healthy and locked in, Anthony Davis is pushing that top 5 player in basketball talent. But when he's not locked in, he's giving you 8. He's giving you 8 points. He's giving you 17 points. And that's not what you want from your superstar trying to push playoff mode. We need 25 to 30 points a night from Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis gives them 25 to 30 points, the Lakers are in the playoffs. But if he's going to keep giving them 8 points, 17 points, they're going to miss the playoffs. The Lakers' playoff ticket can only be punched by Anthony Davis. Defensively, rebounds, they were still there. I'm glad Anthony Davis was at least getting rebounds. Because some games he'll just be so disconnected, he won't give you any points, he won't give you rebounds. He gave him rebounds. He gave him a block shot. But he just wasn't there on the offensive end. He was 46%, if I do the math, 8 out of 18. Not good. So the team only goes as far as Anthony Davis goes. Because everyone else is playing fine. D'Lo's sensational. The role players are great. Shout out to Austin Reeves, contributing 13. Austin Reeves, already better than Caruso? Hey. Debate for another day. Someone's really debating me on that. Dennis Schroeder, good bench score. Rui Hachimura clocking in double digits. Same with Malik Beasley. Now, Malik Beasley's efficiency has been a little sus, but we'll still take the double figures from him. And then you get contributions from elsewhere. Troy Brown, though, was a little off. I mean, if Troy Brown was connecting on his threes, Anthony Davis probably didn't have to have a 25, but who would you rather depend on, Anthony Davis or Troy Brown? So, like I said, the Lakers playoff ticket can only be punched by Anthony Davis because the role players are playing great, defense is there, but it's up to Anthony Davis. But on the other end of the court is Julius Randle, and I've been seeing so many Julius Randle disrespect. And I'm going to play a clip from Player's Choice. I mean, I can't show it on here. Actually, I think I can show it on here, but I haven't ever set it up. So I'm just going to play the audio. So this is what Player's Choice had to say about Julius Randle. It's a little long of a clip, but
Player's Choice got trolled by a TikToker today. Go take a look.
No, I'm just a Julius Randle supporter. Don't mind me. This is what I look like. I have 2 claims. Julius Randle's a positive asset to an NBA team and a very good player. If I'm talking as someone who's over the last 3 years seen 100 games of Julius Randle.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because I'm a Knicks fan. He's actually pretty good.
So you said you think he's a fringe top 40 player, correct?
Yeah.
You're also not as high on Julius Randle as the people who came on here and said he was a top 20, 25.
Those are idiots.
So, because I said he's not top 40. If you think he's fringe
well,
top 40.
I know. I've heard he's just say he's trash.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's trash. But I said he's not top 40. I just want to...
Mars from Player's Choice. Now, I love Mars. I got some respect. He's been in my comments. We've chatted up in Open Gym. But he said he's not top 40. I'm sorry, what? Julius Randle is not top 40? Nah, man. There's no way you can name me 40. There's no way you can name me 40 guys better than Julius Randle in the league. I mean, find me 40 guys. Go ahead. You said 40 guys. If you're so confident and believe that there's 40 guys better than Julius Randle, make a video and find me 40 guys who are contributing 25 and 10 to a team in a tough conference that has 10 wins more than losses. He had against Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis in the best defense in the last 10 games. Julius Randle had 33. Now he missed a couple of threes, but 33 and 8. Find me 40 guys who are putting 33 and 8 on the number 1 defense in the last 10 games. A defense anchored by Jared Vanderbilt, a great defender, and Anthony Davis, a great defender. That's who he's going up against, the teeth of the defense. Find me 40 guys. I know why they don't like Randle, though. You see, I know why they don't like Randle. It's because I'm old enough to remember Julius Randle 2 years ago. Again, the first round playoff series, the first Knicks playoff series in years, going up against the Atlanta Hawks. And Julius Randle completely upchucked in that series. I think he was, 18 a game? He wasn't even the leading scorer. I think it was Derrick Rose. He was 18 a game, but his efficiency was terrible. He was below 30% from the field. 30% below, I think, what was it, 28% from a big man is terrible. That is really bad. I know why they don't like him. It's because of that series. Julius Randle's one playoff series when the Knicks had, it's not like the Knicks had crazy expectations, but the lights are bright in Madison Square Garden, and Julius Randle had 28%. So that's bad. I also think another reason why they don't like him is because of his play style. It's a little weird. It's not as fluid, but that's besides the point. But I know the main reason why they don't like him is because of the Hawks series. And I've actually watched a little bit more Players' Choice, and I hear him bringing up the Atlanta Hawks series. They've said it in another TikTok. But yeah, I agree that shooting 30% in a series as an all-star is disgusting. But bro, come on, that was one series 2 years ago, his only playoff series 2 years ago. That shouldn't discredit what he's doing this season. Now, when the Knicks go into the playoffs, yes, it is 100,000,000 times percent valid to bring up his playoff performance from 2 years ago to say, hey, this is a guy who might have inefficiency issues in the playoffs, might pump the brakes on his potential on the big stage when the Knicks get there. I 100% agree. These are like criticizing his player performance from 2 years ago and adding that to the reason why I don't think the Knicks will go far in this year's playoffs. That's 100% fine. I'm most likely going to do it too. I think I did that a month or so ago when I was talking about the Knicks being a serious playoff team or not. And that was before Jalen Brunson started cooking. And that was when RJ Barrett wasn't putting out 33. So I still believe that same thing. But yeah, but I 100% agree. It is valid to use the criticisms of his playoff performance, but that shouldn't discredit what he's doing this year in the regular season. To say that he's not a top 40 player in the NBA because you don't like watching him, because of a playoff series 2 years ago, is crazy because he's giving you 25 and 10 on a team that is in a tough Eastern Conference that has 10 wins more than losses. Insane disrespect. 40? Are you serious? 40 guys better than Julius Randle? Unbelievable. Oh, but another Players' Choice TikTok that was made last night. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it real quick.
Ray Allen would have more threes than Steph Curry. It's just one of those era things. Back then, they was not allowed to do that. Ray Allen.
Okay, I'm going to pause the clip because I don't want this to be a Players' Choice response podcast. That was literally what my TikTok was for about like a week. I think I posted like 3 Players' Choice responses, basically saying that Ray Allen is a better shooter than Steph Curry. I thought Steph Curry killed those allegations killed that conversation like 4 years ago. But on Saturday, the Warriors stopped their losing streak and beat the Bucks. Steph Curry amazed me. I was sitting in my room watching this game after a great Saturday out in the town, and I come home, pull up this game. I was like, oh, snap. Because I remember last week I made a TikTok saying that, hey, the Golden State Warriors are in trouble. A month ago, I said the Golden State Warriors had a greater chance of missing the playoffs than they did making a deep playoff push, and that's when they were in the play-in. I think they were with the 9th seed at the time, and then they started winning they went on that nice little Jordan Poole-led home stretch where they won 5 games. Then they got to like the 5th seed, and everyone's saying the Golden State Warriors are back. And then they went on a 3-game losing streak because you can't win on the road. But now they're back at home and they win a game. This doesn't change my mind about Golden State. I still think that the Golden State Warriors aren't a contender. But this was a great win for Golden because of what they can do on the road. But this was a great win for Golden State, but mainly for Steph Curry, man. What a performance from Steph Curry. That has to be one of Steph Curry's best games of his career. He was struggling huge in the first half. I don't have his first half totals, but it wasn't good. It was not good. He was inefficient. He wasn't scoring that much. But then third quarter, late third quarter, early, and then fourth quarter, and then overtime, Steph Curry just turned up. Especially in the last minute of the fourth quarter when he was banging, what was it, 3 straight threes. Steph Curry's unbelievable. 36 points. 6 out of 15 from 3. Steph Curry's unbelievable. That has to be one of Steph Curry's best games of his career. By far the best shooter of all time. By far. Ray Allen's not doing that. Ray Allen is not game. Yes, he made that clutch shot against the Spurs in the finals, but when we talk about Steph Curry, what he could do off the dribble, because those were off the dribble threes he was doing between the legs, but what he was doing against Milwaukee to lead that comeback, Ray Allen's not doing that. It was an unbelievable game from Steph Curry. Unbelievable game from Steph Curry. That three he made to tie the game from the left wing was insane. I was over there like, bro, Ray Allen's not doing all these off the dribble threes. He's just not. Steph Curry, and it makes you think like, man, Steph Curry, what is he? Man, he is changing basketball. He is changing basketball. But I don't have much to say about this game because it was on Saturday. I still have the same thoughts about Golden State. That Golden State is not a contender. Yes, this was a good win. Even though they didn't have Giannis, Milwaukee's still a good team without Giannis. They've been winning a lot of games without Giannis anyways. They're still a good team. They still have Middleton. They still have Holiday. They still have Lopez, Jay Crowder, Ingles. They're still a good team. So this was still a good win for Golden State. But as far as being contenders, it doesn't push a needle because I know a couple people were like, coming up to me saying like, this Golden State takes horrible and it's going to look bad in June. I don't think they'll play in June. This win's not going to change anything for me. People were hitting me up saying, is that Golden State take? You still hold that? Yes, I do. This was a home win, by the way. I would like to have seen how they would have played in Milwaukee. But that's Golden State. Steph Curry is just the best shooter I've ever seen. Breaking today, though. Now we're on to the NFL. Because there wasn't that many great NBA games over the weekend compared to last week. And last weekend had a lot of great NBA games over that weekend, but this weekend didn't look like it. Now to the NFL. I haven't talked NFL on this show for so long, man. I haven't talked NFL on here in so long. But we're back. I think last time I talked NFL, I technically did talk about it last week about the Derek Carr to Saints thing, but I barely brushed over it because the person I was talking to didn't really know about football. So I really haven't spent time talking about the NFL since this Super Bowl episode. Or it feels great, man, because the NFL offseason is about to kick in too. I think this is the first day of like what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. I forgot the word. It's when you can't like talk to players early. Whatever. I was blanking on that, but first day you can really start like agreeing in principle on contracts in the NFL because the NFL free agency starts in a couple days. And so we got some deals going. I know 49ers assigned a defensive tackle from the Eagles. Jimmy Garoppolo. He is not staying in San Francisco. That was expected after Brock Purdy's emergence. Not staying in San Francisco. Goes to the Raiders for 3 years. Gets $22 million a year. 3 years, $67 million. I think 34 of that's guaranteed. So the Raiders replaced Jimmy Garoppolo. Raiders replaced Derek Carr with Jimmy G. And my first thoughts is they get a cheaper quarterback, but you didn't like Derek Carr. You thought he was one of the reasons why you were losing. You wanted to move off of him. So you replace him with Jimmy G for 3 years. So you say no to Lamar Jackson. I don't know where you're at in the Aaron Rodgers thing. So this Aaron Rodgers thing, it seems like he's going to go to the Jets. So you're not going to get Aaron Rodgers in Vegas. Tom Brady retired. So you're left with Jimmy Garoppolo. Man. So yes, to get a cheaper quarterback because Jimmy G's contract is cheaper than Derek Carr's. But this isn't going to this isn't moving the needle for Vegas. This is not moving the needle for Vegas. Jimmy G's he's reunited with Josh McDaniel, the coach of the Raiders. He's the head coach of the Raiders. He was the OC for the Patriots when Jimmy Garoppolo was there. So McDaniels does know a little bit of how to coach around Jimmy Garoppolo. McDaniels was leading Jimmy Garoppolo to wins in good numbers when Jimmy Garoppolo was Tom Brady's replacement when Tom Brady was suspended for Deflategate. But I don't think this moves the needle, despite the reunitement. I think that's the word. This doesn't remove the needle. Is he going to be bad? No, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be fine. It'd be interesting to see him outside of Shanahan, but like I said, McDaniel knows a little bit about him. But he's going to be a playoff pusher for this team. If Derek Carr isn't a playoff pusher for this team, is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be a playoff pusher for this team? Derek Carr's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, especially if Jacobs is in lock long term. So they got Renfro, who's fine. Devontae Adams, who's one of the best wide receivers in football, and Darren Waller. Hopefully he can. Didn't look like Darren Waller last year, but hopefully he can bounce back. So you got some decent weapons to work with in Vegas. And let's see if Josh Jacobs gets franchise tagged or something like that over the offseason. They retain him. So he'll have some decent weapons to work with. Now it's not San Francisco's offense. It's not Shanahan plus Debo plus Ayuk plus yards after catch George Kittle and McCaffrey. It's not that. But it's not like he's going to it's not like he's going to Chicago. But this isn't I don't really have much to say about this, but he just isn't a playoff pusher for the Raiders. They were 6 wins last year. I expect 6 or some wins this year as well, this coming year as well. Because I do not think Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Derek Carr. What is Jimmy Garoppolo going to do different than Derek Carr? Turn the ball over less, I guess. But was that really Jimmy Garoppolo being good at not turning the ball over? Or is that more of Shanahan's system? Who knows? But my take on this, Jimmy G does not move the needle at all for the Raiders. Expect the same outcome next season. Julie, more football. Let's go. Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins. So that broke yesterday. We got Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins. The trade is now agreed. The Dolphins get Pro Bowl corner Jalen Ramsey, and the Rams in return get a 3rd-round pick, which is going to be the 77th overall pick, and a tight end, Hunter Long, irrelevant. So they just get a 3rd-round pick basically for Jalen Ramsey. I was wondering what the market for Ramsey was because I knew they're most likely going to trade him. Was it going to be a 2nd-round pick? How much were they going to honor him being that decorative of a player? But they gave him for the 3rd-round pick, and I was surprised because I thought Jalen Ramsey honestly was worth at least a 2nd. And they got the Dolphins trade only a 3rd-round pick. That's a steal. The Dolphins got a steal for Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins had the 6th worst pass defense last year. I think defensively, their biggest hole was they traded for Bradley Chubb last year, but I still thought they had holes on defense, and it was their pass defense. They had the 6th worst pass defense last year, 234.8 yards per game, and the 5th worst QBR given up. That's worse than Detroit. They gave up 95.3 on average QBR to opponents, worse than Detroit. And they got a corner. So now they got Jalen Ramsey, who I still think Jalen Ramsey, although the best corners in the league are now like Surtain, Lattimore's still up. I would say Jerry Alexander, Sauce. Those guys are more in the conversation for best corner in the league. But I still think Jalen Ramsey is a top 10 corner in football. So getting a top 10 corner for 3rd-round pick is a steal. Now that they got Jalen Ramsey, the pressure is all on Tua. It's obvious now that this team's trying to contend. They got a little bit of playoff experience last year for their coach. It's time to start pushing in that division. They have no excuses now for Tua. He has 2 number 1 wide receivers, 2 number 1 corners, a smart young head coach who has playoff experience. It's time for Tua to take them far. Do I think he could take them far? We'll see. I'm not trying to make a statement yet whether I believe Tua is going to take them far, but it's time for Tua Tagovailoa to take them far. But the pressure is on Tua. Take a little water break. The pressure's on Tua. Like I said, you don't trade for Jalen Ramsey unless you're trying to do something. That's a win. Like the Rams trade for Jalen Ramsey. Trading for Jalen Ramsey, he's only 28. Multi-time Pro Bowler. Trading for Jalen Ramsey is a win now move. So it's obvious that the Dolphins are trying to trade now. It's obvious that the Dolphins are trying to It's obvious that the Dolphins are trying to contend now. And if you look at their roster, they have 2 number 1 wide receivers, not just 2 number 1 wide receivers, two number 1 corners, serviceable running backs, serviceable talent along the field. They traded a first-round pick for Bradley Chubb last year. They have talent across the board. They've solved, I think, one of their biggest holes in their pass defense. I mean, they had a bottom 6 pass defense last year. They solved that. So they're solving all these holes. Now it's all so solving all these holes. Pressure's on Tua Tagovailoa. Pressure's on. The pressure is on him. It's time for Tua. All eyes on Tua to take him far. This team is now trying to win Super Bowls. You don't make a Jalen Ramsey move, you're not trying to make a Super Bowl run. Team's trying to win Super Bowls. If Tua does not lead into a Super Bowl next year, contract's going to be different for Tua. And they might be looking elsewhere. But the pressure is on Tua to do something. As far as the Rams, we knew they went so far in the last 2 years to go win now. They traded basically all their picks to get all these veterans and guys like Stafford and Bobby Wagner and Jalen Ramsey, get all these guys. But now they're stuck because they got to pay all these guys now. And they got to get some picks back because they can't pay everybody. And Al, obviously, last year did not look good for them. And so trading Jalen Ramsey was expected because I think they can move on without him, try to get some picks back. I wish they kind of would have got, on Rams' perspective, they probably could have got a better deal. I feel like a third-round pick is low for Jalen Ramsey. But, I mean, for the Rams, I guess you'll take it so you don't have to pay Jalen Ramsey in the future. Yeah, they just got to get those picks back because the franchise is crumbling. But I'll look here on the sheet, man. More football to talk about. More football, but another trade. Let's move on to this one. This one broke earlier. What was this, Friday? The Panthers traded for the number 1 pick. Ooh. Thank God that wasn't the Colts. I was so worried that the Colts were going to trade for this number 1 pick. I was like, Colts, we have the 4th pick. I was hearing all this news that the Colts could possibly trade up. I didn't want that because we would have wasted more picks to move up 3 spots. And there's a couple when we don't have to have the number 1 pick and get the number 1 quarterback. We just don't. So thank you for the Panthers for beating out the Colts before they made any moves. My thoughts on the pick. So let's look at this trade. Okay, this is the mock. My thoughts on the entire breakdown. Bears fans were asking me all day today in class, like, yo, talk about this trade. I got you. So Panthers trade for number 1. What did the Bears get in return? They got the 9th pick, the 61st pick, first-round pick next year, a second-round pick in the year following, and probably the most important outside the number 9 pick, DJ Moore. So they got a haul, an extreme haul. The Panthers gave up a lot to move up 8 spots. And the Bears, we all were trying to, I think everyone was in agreement for the Bears to trade down this pick because they already had their quarterback. It's time, and they needed a lot to fix. When you have the number 1 pick and you need a lot to fix and you already have your quarterback, you got to trade down. And that's what the Bears did. And it looks like they're already starting to fill these holes because breaking, 30 minutes ago, Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker of the Bills, going to the Bears. So Bears are already making moves. They're not waiting around. Good for the Bears, though, because this team needs to start winning. And they need to build around Justin Fields. And it looks like they're trying to build around Justin Fields. This is definitely a build around Justin Fields package. I was thankfully for the Bears, because I know a lot of people like Justin Fields. As someone from Columbus, they always root for Ohio State quarterbacks. So I got a lot of people who root for Justin Fields. I'm glad they didn't take Will Anderson because that would not have been bad for building around Justin Fields' plan. But from the Bears side of this trade, we're going to do two sides. For the Bears side of this trade, trading down means they're going to build around Justin Fields. The Bears now have a lot of capital to build around Justin Fields, and they are already doing so. They just signed Tremaine Edmonds, and they brought in DJ Moore. So they're showing that they're building around Justin Fields. So for Justin Fields, this is a prove it or lose it season. This is a prove it or lose it season. The Bears are trying to build around you. No excuses now for Justin Fields. When Justin Fields was turning the ball over like crazy in his first 2 years, all the Justin Fields defenders, what were they saying? He's got no help. What do you want him to do? No line, no receivers, poor defense, sus coach. Got all that. But the Bears front office is like, okay, Justin, I'm making moves for you. I'm trading down the number 1 pick. I'm getting the 9th pick. Probably going to be used to get an offensive lineman that people were saying that you need. I'm bringing you a number 1 wide receiver who can get 1,000 yards with Sam Darnold. You're saying that you don't have a receiver to throw to because Chase Claypool ain't nothing? Well, I just got you DJ Moore. He's a real number 1 wide receiver. I got you. You saying the defense isn't good? Well, I'm bringing in Tremaine Edmonds. I got a what was the other picks? I'm bringing in Tremaine Edmonds. I got a 61st overall pick in the draft this year as well. I got more money to spend. I got plenty of cap to spend after signing Tremaine Edmonds. I got a lot to do for you, Justin Fields. I'm filling in a lot of the gaps that all your supporters were saying that was the reason why you were underperforming. Bears front office is saying like, hey, I'm filling in all these gaps. The Bears are filling in all these gaps that were used as excuses to why you were underperforming, why you were turning the ball over. But now it's time. It is time for Justin Fields. This is a prove it or lose it season. Now he's getting supporting the holes on his team are getting filled. So if he can't prove that he is the number 1 team, if he's the true face of the franchise quarterback for this Bears, if he can't prove it, now I think he can, but if he can't prove it, the Bears might start looking else. The Bears might start looking ahead next year or so into those next mock drafts. Who's going to free up in free agency in the next couple years in that quarterback spot? Because Justin Fields isn't showing that he's the guy, despite us bringing him a number 1 wide receiver, a better O-line, and a better defense. Prove it or lose it season for Justin Fields. If Fields can't make it work with this supporting cast, I know this isn't like a Hall of Fame supporting cast, but he has a decent supporting cast now. He's going to have a decent supporting cast after the draft and after free agency. If he can't prove that he's the face of a franchise, if he can't prove that he can't throw more touchdowns than turn the ball over, he could very well lose his job in the next year or so. Okay. I loved talking football for a little bit. Made me happy. I can't wait, man. Lamar Jackson getting this other news real quick before we move on. Lamar Jackson just getting mistreated in the free agency market with this like unexclusive or whatever franchise tag, basically saying like we can match whatever deal teams could get. Basically saying like, yo, we can keep you, but teams are able to sign you, but we're most likely going to match it. But, if they give us a couple picks, they're allowed to have you. So they're just treating Lamar unfairly in the market. And it's sad, bro, because Lamar Jackson is an MVP a couple years ago, and I still think, although he's having some health issues now, and people still have questions about his throwing ability, he is easily a top 8 quarterback in football, in my opinion. Lamar Jackson is. And Aaron Rodgers, like I said, going to the Jets. I was going to talk about today, but since I don't want to be solo for an hour and 30, this is my first time solo. I don't want to cram topics in. So we're going to do that when Aaron Rodgers is officially announced to be either staying in Green Bay or in a Jets uniform. So stay tuned until that. The last topic of the day. Baseball. It's baseball season, ladies and gentlemen. You see the Judge jersey. I've had Pujols jerseys up here, for Bond shirts up here. I like me some baseball. And, I'm going to try out this baseball segment for a little bit because baseball season is starting. It's spring training right now. What we're going to talk about is World Baseball Classic. I'm going to try a little baseball segment. And if people don't like it, people don't like it. But I kind of want to talk baseball. I'm not going to talk about baseball as much as I do football and basketball. But when something I want to talk about baseball related comes up, I'm going to talk about it because I like baseball. It's like one of those sports that I really like, but I don't really talk about it much. And it's honestly just a reflection of the sport in general. Because when you watch the World Baseball Classic, when you go to actual baseball games, those seats are packed. But you don't hear the media ever talking about baseball like they do basketball and football. I go to baseball games, seats is packed. World Baseball Classic, this looks like the biggest world tournament ever in sports. Other than like the Olympics. Like you see the Japan games, it's huge. But you'll never hear the media ever talk about baseball. The leading topics will still be NBA and NFL. So it's just interesting. It's like the most popular, at least talked about in sport is like how I like to say baseball is. Probably the most popular sport. Stadiums are always packed. World Baseball Classic is crazy. It's gone global now. Japan's on it. I mean, we knew Latin America was on baseball, but Japan's on it now. All these other countries like Great Britain and all of them are starting to dabble into baseball. Everyone wears baseball caps, but no one talks about baseball. No one has baseball conversations. No one talks about it in the media. Probably the most popular sport that never gets talked about. But last night, so the World Baseball Classic, if you don't know, is like kind of like FIBA basketball for MLB for baseball. World Cup like for soccer, but this time for baseball. You got all your countries participating, represented by many players. Most of those players who are in the MLB, representing their country that they call home or country of their nationality. And I think it's really cool. I've enjoyed watching the games. I've had so much fun. And last night, United States, home of baseball, where baseball was invented, lost to Mexico in an embarrassing fashion, 11-5. I know 11-5. The game was closer than you think. The game wasn't as close as you think it was. It was a blowout. It was embarrassing. The team USA was down 9-1 at one point. It was embarrassing. And they play Canada tonight. So they just lost to Mexico, the team south border. Now they go play the team that's north border tonight. Bad look for USA bad look for the United States, being the country that invented the sport, loses in a tournament to the country south of them and the country north of them. But they were the inventor of the sport, and if they lose, what does that look like for the United States? Tonight is a must win. Tonight is a must win for the United States. They have to beat Canada. And not only do they have to beat Canada, since runs might be a factor to break some ties, they need to smack Canada tonight. They play Canada at 10, so in 4 hours. Canada has stars like Freddie Freeman, Tyler O'Neill, who U.S. played Great Britain the game before Mexico. Canada just played Great Britain last night, hung 18 runs on them. They played better than the United States did against Great Britain. So this is a tough matchup. Like again, I just said they got some MLB stars there, so who aren't afraid to go up against the United States. But overall, I still like the United. Oh shit, my beard. Oh, a little makeup check, man. I need a haircut. Whatever. Back to what I was saying. I still like the U.S. chances of winning the World Baseball Classic, but Mexico gave them a wake-up call, a huge wake-up call. That was embarrassing last night. I know 11-5 seems a little bit closer. I know the game 11-5 seems close on the scoreboard. That game was not close at all. Mexico wanted it more. It was embarrassing, especially for a sport that we invented and we could possibly get bounced out of the tournament. But the U.S. has just looked so sloppy in this tournament. So sloppy. And these are some of the best players in the MLB. These are some of the best baseball players in the world, and they're looking extremely sloppy. Last night against Mexico, errors on defense. Arenado, Goldschmidt, some of the best defenders in two teams, some of the best. So we got some of these gold glove guys. Jeff McNeil as well, juggling catches, failing a hole in one over his head. Gold glove guys making errors in the infield. So just sloppy. If the U.S. loses in this tourney, it would be because of their defense. Not their defense. Yeah, the defense, but primarily if the U.S. loses in the tourney, it would be because of their pitching. I mean, back-to-back games now in Classic where the U.S. is giving up a home run in the first inning. That's not a way to start a game. We won't show consistency in the tournament unless our best pitchers are playing. The problem with the United States is that the best pitchers in the world, your Verlanders, your Scherzers, your DeGroms, you know what I'm saying? The best American pitchers aren't playing. And if you know anything about baseball is, yes, our lineup is stacked. We got superstars. We got some of the best hitters in baseball, in the world. We got some of the best hitters in the world on our team, top to bottom. We have the best batting rotation, top to bottom, in the world. However, if you know anything about baseball, especially in big game situations, the game is won or lost by pitching. Pitching is the most important aspect of the game, not the home run hitters, the pitchers. But the problem with Team USA is their best pitchers didn't show up compared to the other countries. Other countries, their best pitchers showed up. Sandy Alcantara, Shohei Ohtani, Yu Darvish. Other countries' best pitchers showed up. Ours didn't. And I think if we do get bounced out of the tournament, it will be because of our pitching. And not only just our pitching in our errors, sloppy errors, man, our two best stars, our two best players on the team, Mookie Betts and Mike Trout, they got to get it going. Like these players got to get it going. When we talk about sports and sports in the biggest moments, offensively, when you talk about offense in sports, in big time moments, you need your big stars to be great. Like you can't win tournaments. Shohei Ohtani's out here hitting home runs for Japan. Where's Mike Trout and Mookie Betts? These guys are batting sub 200. Not good. They need to also get going too. They're not off the hook. And that was another difference in the Mexico game too, because Mexico's best players, not the guy from the Nationals, Jose Menes, 2 home runs, and Randy Arozarena out here acting like it's the 2020 playoffs again, smacking our pitchers around. Mexico's best players are showing up, but ours aren't. And so we're being sloppy infield defense, terrible pitching, and our best players aren't showing up is not a recipe for tournament success. I still have faith in Team USA to pull it out because of the names, and this is our freaking sport. But they're showing some huge red flags to start the tournament that if they don't fix the sloppy infield play, if they don't fix the bad pitching, if their 2 stars don't get it together, USA could easily get bounced out of their own sports tournament. And that's it for today's show. USA plays Canada, so it'll be interesting to watch Trout versus Freeman, Betts versus O'Neal. Like their 2 best players versus our 2 best players. Really got to get it going. We beat Great Britain, but Great Britain's like not all that hot. I think Great Britain's best players like Trace Thompson, Klay Thompson's brother. He's actually not that bad for the Dodgers. I'm not gonna hate on Trace Thompson, but you know what I'm saying? Like if Trace Thompson's like your best player, you know what I'm saying? But the pitching really has to get better. I think Adam Wainwright, the Hall of Fame pitcher for the Cardinals, he got knocked around against Great Britain. Our guys are just getting knocked around. If we had like Verlander, Kershaw, some of the best American pitchers, DeGrom, can you imagine DeGrom or Scherzer, Mad Max. I mean, maybe not Scherzer because he was getting knocked around against the Padres, but you know what I'm saying? Like some of the best American pitchers, because all the other countries, their best pitchers are showing up. They're playing. But our best pitchers, they ain't even playing. I don't even know why they're not playing. Is it because they just don't want to get hurt? Because they don't want to hurt their arm or something? Because they got a season coming up? I don't know. But the U.S. would just run through this tournament if their best players would show up. Because not only would they have their best batters, they would have their best hitters. I mean, their best pitchers. Like, who cares about lineups, too? Because everyone's like, oh, look at our lineup. Not every game. Baseball, you're going to have one game where you're hitting 10 home runs. You know, the game's like 15-2. The next game, you get maybe one triple. The game's like 1-0. So there's going to be games where your batters are going to be on fire, and then there's going to be another game where your batters aren't getting a base hit until like the 9th inning. So your pitching matters because pitching always has to be a constant. Pitching is more of a constant than hitting. So that's why your pitching's got to be the most important. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in to not even an hour. I officially ran through this show, man. First time doing this show solo. It's a little rough, to be honest, but we're going to get used to it. Probably going to get some guests on here for Friday's show, but I kind of wanted to test out just a quick little hour of just me rambling on, kind of finding my voice and the tempo. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to start doing more solo shows, but I can't just rely on guests carrying. But this was just a nice, refreshing day, me talking about sports. 3 sports today. Basketball, football, baseball, my 3 favorite sports. I got to knock them all out in one show in less than an hour. I appreciate every guys for tuning in to this 22nd episode of Some Casual Takes. You guys know where to find me. Peace.